Okay, how you doing? Brad here. It's 9:18 in the morning in Thailand, June 22nd, 2026. So where did I leave off part two? This is part three, how my memoir was born and how it came about, however you want to title it. I think I left off at meeting the girl my Nicaraguan wife and I in L.A. And we were going to move here there because I'm a crazy guy, was always, and a little less crazy now. Maybe it's because I'm 72 and I don't have the energy to be crazy, that crazy. So I sold those images to Oriental Dolls because I had made a cold call when I was in New York one time. Is that cover on the ebook? And I'm allowed to show that on YouTube because it's covered up. So anyway, that's the girl I met in that boutique. And I said, "Hey, I'm shooting for Thai Penthouse, and would you be interested in the shoot? That kind of a photo shoot?" And she said, "No." And I gave her I wrote my phone number down. I was staying at my friend's in Sherman Oaks, and so she ends up calling me a few days later and says, "I'll do it." And in research for the memoir, I looked it up, and the story is crazy. You know, about those pictures they talk about. I can't show these. This one I can show. You know, oops. God, I don't know how to use social media. So so I did a photo set of her, and when I researched for the book, it talked about those famous Oriental Doll photos. Francine D. The first well-known pictures of Francine D. graced the cover of Oriental Dolls and quickly became the buzz in the school halls. At that time, this I got off of. Anyway, I got it online. At that time, Francine already had her. Actually, there's a story. When she called me and said I'll do it, she had her these enhanced, and she said when it's all healed up, we'll do the shoot. And that's when we did it. And they talk about she had just had her blah blah enhanced, uh, and was sporting blonde hair. Francine has long, soft, black brown hair. Is on her sixth enhancement. Wow. Still an incredible body, a beautiful face, and a very nice girl. You couldn't ask for a better combination. She was born, blah, blah, blah. She had never done anything, any shoot. So she did this one with me. And it got on the cover. I never saw the cover. So Miriam and I, after sending those slides to New York, and they paid for it, we flew back to Bangkok. We had gotten her a visa, I think, in Miami when we went there when Versace was shot. At that time, we'd gotten her a visa. So we flew from LA to Bangkok. And then for the next, okay, so this Oriental Dolls thing is 1997. I got to check everything because, it's in the book. Thank God I wrote it then because my memory is much worse now. So, okay, so July 18th, 1997. July 18th, 1997. And we flew back to Bangkok. So from 97 to 98, I'm shooting sets for Oriental Dolls. And I had an agent that brought me the most beautiful girls. And that's the reason I had so much success. So then I picked up another, we moved to a penthouse suite in LA. I mean, it was beautiful, way up at the top floor, like, 30th floor, whatever it was. Coffee. So I'm shooting for, then I get a phone call. Or no, I checked. When we were staying at like a hotel place, me and Miriam, the guy in the hotel says, "Oh, you got a phone call. Call New York." So it was Pat Resch and Oriental Dolls, and she said, "We need 20 more sets, or we'd like to buy 20 more sets." So that started it off, and so we had to get 20 more girls. So we'd go to these go-go bars in this area called Pat Pong in Bangkok, get a girl and shoot her. Well, that's weird because your Nicaraguan wife is in the next room. And I told one of those stories where we rented a hotel suite. I'm shooting the girl. Miriam's in the other room watching TV. And the door to this room that I was shooting in didn't lock. So we're getting into it. Me and the model. We're getting into it, let me tell you. And I'm looking at that door to see if it opens while we're getting into it. We were getting into this photo shoot of ours. And so it made it weird. And like I said, I've always had, I'm a screwed up person, addictive personality. And I start drinking after 13 years at this time. In fact, I remember 13 years we're in Pat Pong looking for a model for Oriental Dolls, go-go bars. And this guy comes around with a tray just like this. I still remember it like it was yesterday. Not quite, but and there's shots of booze. And he goes, free shots, just like that. And he walks by me and I go like this, boom. First alcohol in 13 years after going to AA and stuff. And even went to AA in Bangkok. And I'll never forget what Miriam said. She goes, Brad, I've never seen you take a drink. Well, that was the beginning of the end for our relationship because I'm as I said, an angry alcoholic, and I'm I'm a mean drunk. They call a mean drunk, and possessive, jealous, all those awful things, sociopath, narcissist, and so I start drinking and I'm shooting girls and I'm having some fun with the girls, with the wife in the next room, etc. Nice person, wasn't I? But I wrote about it in the memoir, just like I'm talking about it now. I don't mince words, man, and it was what it was, and I wrote about it. I didn't paint myself to be anything but what I was. Not a good person. So, I was going to tell one more story. Yeah. I don't want to tell all the stories because I'm trying to just, talk about, Brad, what's the word you want to use? Just keep it short so you know how this memoir came about. So, so we're in a McDonald's in Bangkok, me and Miriam. I'm screaming at her because that's the kind of person I was, especially when I was drinking. Just yell. I don't know what I was screaming at her about. Can't remember. But somebody in the back of the McDonald's eating, in that part of McDonald's says, "Hey, man, cut it out. Leave her alone." Swear to God, it's all true. And I look over. Guess who it is? Jean-Claude Van Damme. Last time I was with him, I was in the movie Kickboxer. I don't know if I brought this up before, but shot in Hong Kong. And I was smoking one of those little cigars, like the one I was smoking when I got that cigarette ad in Paris. And I'm smoking one of those, and he goes, "Hey, you got another one?" No. So I'm not in the shot or whatever. I'm outside where, where they're shooting, looking at the scenery, having a cigarette, tap on the shoulder. I look over, it's Van Damme. He's the star of the Kickboxer, right? And he goes, "Hey, man, you got another one?" I said, "Sure." Just like two normal people. This is how my life was. That's why I had to write about it. And neither of us made a big deal. Yeah, man. He goes, "Come on in my trailer. I want to talk to you. Let's smoke in my trailer." That's what he said. So we go in, we're smoking our cigarettes. And he said, "Hey, man, I like your look. I'd like to use you in my next movie." And Mr. Van Damme, I don't know if you remember it, that McDonald's you yelled at me. I hope so. You did me a favor. I mean, the chapter is called Van Damme Comes to the Rescue, and you did. So smoke out cigs. He says, I'd like to use you in my next movie. I got to go to Australia when I come back. But my problem was at that time I was footloose and fancy free, so I ended up moving to Bangkok soon thereafter. So and I wasn't. You couldn't get in touch with me, whatever. And not that he would have used me, but you never know. So anyway, so leave her alone. So I go over there and I said I was in kickboxer, and he's sitting with this blonde girl. Can you imagine in Bangkok? I thought they all had dark hair. No, she wasn't a Thai. She was, they call Falang. So, Western girl. And he turns to her and he goes, Brad was in kickboxer. And we talked and he said, why don't we go out tonight or whatever? All of us. Here's the number of my hotel, whatever. I ended up calling his hotel that night, but he said he couldn't make it. I don't know if I talked to him or his manager. I can't remember, but called the hotel, can't make it. So anyway, pretty soon, I'm shooting sexy girls. And my problem was I was married to the most beautiful girls on earth, as sexy and beautiful as they come. And yet I'd get bored after a month, just like I did with a country. I'd go to a country, get bored, go to a new country. That was my addiction, that newness. I call it cinnamine, dopamine, sexamine. So one night I go to a party and Miriam and I were staying. Our place was it was expensive at that time. It was like, I think it was 40,000 baht a month. So it's about, $1,200, $1,300 a month. We're talking about 1998 in Bangkok. So it's an expensive place at that time because I had money. I'm shooting the girls and $3,000 every time. So I go to a party. I come home back to our rented in the hotel apartment, because I paid monthly, and Miriam's gone. She's gone. I never saw her again. I deserved it, no question, but it doesn't hurt any less, even if you deserve it. I was devastated. I called Kennedy Airport because I found out it was Kennedy Airport, and then I called. I said, "Can you stop someone?" I went nuts. But that was that. But the next time I talked to her one more time in my, I was shooting a catalog, clothing catalog, and I shot one guy was the model, and I remember after we were shooting like in the woods in this Thailand, everything's in Thailand. I did everything, I'm still here, and it was really weird because we did the shoot, and then one of the guys that arranged the shoot, if I'm not mistaken, he calls me and he says, "Hey, Brad, did you hear?" I said, "No, what?" He goes, that guy that was the model, his buddy came in his room and he saw his shoes, his underwear, his pants, his underwear, and the window opened and there was the body laying on the cement. And then when that happens, a group comes and they roll him up and stuff like that. So he said he looked out the window, he's being rolled up. The guy went down. The guy was still alive. So then my buddy says, "Hey, he's in the hospital. Let's go visit him." I didn't know him, just the photo shoot. I'm the photographer. He's the model, one of the models. So we go to the hospital and tubes all over. And like this, I almost fainted. I had to lay down on the hospital floor. Kid you not. I had to lay, I didn't faint, but I just had to lay on the floor. The reason I bring this up, years later, I went back to LA. That was weird because I got married again to another model, had a daughter. She's now 25, 26, and Amy. And I go back to LA and 72-year-old brain. Give me a break. Hold on. Oh, yeah. And I see my friend from North Hollywood where I kind of stay with him. You read those stories. So he goes, I want you to meet my old roommate. He's got where I used to live, and nice guy and stuff. So we went over there. Oh, you're in Thailand. My friend was in a photo shoot, and can you imagine the odds? I said, well, I was the photographer of that photo shoot. How is he? He said, well, he lost an eyeball. So when they say fact is stranger than fiction, the reason it's stranger than fiction, nobody can make this stuff up. It's too weird. It has to happen, and then you can write about it. Otherwise, because you couldn't think about a guy, he jumps out the window for some reason. There was a swimming pool down there. I was thinking maybe he was trying to dive in the pool. He was drunk, whatever. Oh, the weird thing was, after that photo shoot, everybody was drinking. I didn't drink at that time. And I noticed he was getting drunk and kind of, like me, alcoholic, kind of one is too many, 100 isn't enough. And I thought it was kind of weird. And when somebody said he went out the window, I was going, my dad used to say, when you start talking about he's an alcoholic, he's passed away at 96. He said, I'd say, well, the guy was an alcoholic, he was drinking. My dad said, say no more. Say no more. In other words, weird stuff happens. But then talking to that guy, and he goes, oh, yeah, that was my friend who jumped out the window, and I didn't ask him details or anything, but he said he was really in bad shape and lost an eye and couldn't walk well, still alive. So anyway, Miriam and I, then I come home and she's gone. And the last time I talked to her, so when I visited that ex-roommate, and he told me that story, somehow I was able to call Miriam in Miami. I do not know how I got that number or anything. But I remember I called, and this is weird about memory that's 40 years ago. You remember bits and pieces. My memory, anyway. I can speak, that's a fact. So somehow I call her up, and this was around in the early 2000s, okay? So I call her up, and she says, Brad, do you know that I never knew how good pop can be until I left you and came to Miami? Because she was hot. Her body was one of the best I've ever seen. She's hot. She made the cover of Penthouse Thailand. The other girl didn't. And only one reason. And she said, I never knew what good, we call it boom boom, was until I left you, because she was actually a good girl. She didn't mess around with other guys or anything else. And she probably only been with me, but I'm with the most beautiful girl and I get bored next. You know what I mean? So my ability to, the boom boom or whatever it is, was, I was probably, whatever. I've tried to figure it out. Maybe I am a bad boomer. I'm a baby boomer. So get it, YouTube? I'm a baby boomer. Boom boom. They call it boom boom here in Thailand. Boom boom. Did you boom? Did you boomer? I boomed her. I'm a boomer. I don't care if these videos are good or not. I've got all these videos. You look on YouTube. Here's how you make a video, and you got to do this. You got to do that. Script it. Do this. Do that. That ain't happening. And it never did in my life. That kind of behavior. I was impulse, driven. Do this, and it was working for so long. Then it stops working because you get old part. And then I start drinking and drugging, and that's part two. So anyway, then after that, after she left, I picked up a new customer. Larry Flint had a new magazine, Asian Fever, and I shot probably 6 or 8 of the first 12 covers. It's a monthly magazine, and covers. I got the very first cover. So the cool thing about writing a memoir is you get to research. A lot of it is about the research. I didn't see those covers. I didn't see those Asian Fever covers, until I wrote the book and researched it. Looked at Asian Fever. And let's see. I can't show. I got a lot of girl shots. They're covered up, but YouTube will cancel this video and, so forget it. Can't do it. I start drinking again, blah, blah, blah. There's me crying. Selfie. Because when you write a memoir, you realize what a bad person you were and you have to write about it. I write about Miriam leaving me because I was a jerk. And, brings you to tears. You learn about your friend who jumped 23 stories that you worked in a movie with, Leslie. I cried, man. Okay, I start shooting for Larry Flint. And then there's the very first cover. So that was research, right? Very first cover, 1998. I shot it. In fact, there's a story about that girl. It's a dynamite story. I won't tell it. Okay, this is all right. She's not nude or anything. And I was a good photographer. I'm an artist type. So anyway, so I start shooting that magazine, and here's how with it I was. One time to Oriental Dolls, I sent some slides. I used 100 slides per model. I'd take about 200, and then I'd pick out 100. So I sent them a bunch of sets of girls, probably about 300 slides, DHL, from Thailand to New York City. And I called and I said, "You get the slides?" She goes, "Yeah, but the slides weren't in it. I got the package. Somebody stole them or took them, whatever. It's probably illegal to send, whatever." You know what I did? Flew to New York the very next day. That was me at younger. I was with it. Flew to New York. And once I'm in New York, I deliver this because you always shoot extras, so it didn't matter. And after I gave her the slide, she goes, "The owner's going to be picking you up, take you to breakfast." Times Square, man. So I go downstairs. A limo picks me up. Then I researched who that guy was. He was a big shot in the magazine. It's in the book. But that's what charisma and doors opening. And I pray to God a lot, but I'm just asking, like, give it to me. Nothing's given to you, man. You got to do it. And then maybe it works out. Then fail. And then it's the same as marketing this book. So he takes me to breakfast. And then when I got back, a limousine in New York, taken to breakfast by this owner of this magazine company. And then I researched, you can read it in the book, big shot. So when I got back to Thailand, I sent him a Thai statue, like a Buddha thing or whatever. He sends me a card back to Thailand, and he said, I can't remember how it went down. It's in the book, details. But he said something really nice, like, "I loved what you sent me." And, my biggest problem was drugs and alcohol. So that's about the end of part one. And part two of the book, I almost don't want to publish it because I become a drug addict in Thailand, meet a girl. In fact, I met a girl to shoot. And I married 3 of my models. So she got, we had a baby, put it that way, got married, and my 5th wife. And 2 Thai, 1 Nicaraguan, 2 Americans. So that's part 2. And I'll get into it later. All right, that's enough out of me. I hope I turn this thing on. I'm on my book. I'm not going to give you, because I'm changing the name. I'm putting it on Google Play Books. I'm going to put it all over the place. I was kicked off Amazon, so it won't be there. Okay. It won't be a print book anymore because I'm not on Amazon. So you know what I mean. It is what it is. 250 images, man. It's now called My Life as an Expat. Until the next change of a name. Okay, take care.